Hi, friends. Question for you. Is it possible to have peace in a pandemic? I want to tell you about a man who lived 3,000 years ago, who was able to find peace among all the things going on in his life, things of uncertainty, sometimes things of pain. His name was David. And if you remember David, he did not lead a settled life. He did not lead the life of an ivory towered academic or hermit unconcerned with the world. This was a man who had great responsibilities. More than that, he spent the first half of his adult life in great uncertainty of his very life because the strongest, most powerful man in the country, Saul, was trying to chase him down and kill him. David had to flee from place to place, not knowing when Saul's armies would catch up with him. And finally, he was brought to the throne, but even then, there was one battle after another. Eventually, through many of his own mistakes, his own family began turning out in ways that he never anticipated. In fact, his son, Absalom, his own son, started a rebellion and a civil war, seeking David's own life, and David had to run. David had to flee. David lived a life with as much uncertainty as any of us. And yet in Psalm 131, he writes this beautiful, short poem. It's only 3 verses in English. He says, "My heart is not proud, Lord. My eyes are not haughty. I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. But I have calmed and quieted myself. I am like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child, I am content. O Israel, put your hope in the Lord, both now and forevermore." What a beautiful picture. Among all the responsibilities and all the stresses of his life, among all the uncertainties of his life, David said, "I have learned to be like a weaned child on its mother's lap. I have learned to be content. I have learned to find peace among all the uncertainties and struggles of life." How? Well, I think there are a couple clues that might help us. Number one, David kind of reminds himself here that he's not God. He says, "I don't concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me." And that word wonderful doesn't really convey adequately the Hebrew word underlying that. That word is used about 15 times in the Old Testament in reference to a man or mankind. And in every case, it means something beyond them as humans. It means something above our pay grade as human beings. It means something that God knows or God has control of, and we don't. There are a lot of things like that. And part of the problem that we have is we've got all of our concerns on things that we can't control, and we were never meant to try to control them. David says, one of the things I've learned to do, the key thing here, is I've learned to not concern myself with the God things. Now, I try to think of an illustration of what that might look like. And I came up with this idea. Imagine this is your life and all the things you have to concern yourself with. And there are a lot of things, right? Everything from what's for dinner tonight to what time am I going to go to bed, what I'm going to wear tomorrow. There are a lot of little things that we have to worry about in our lives. And then there are quite a few larger things that we have to worry about. And again, I'm talking about things like our past and the way our past mistakes are affecting us now. We have to worry about our job for the future. We have to worry about tomorrow, how we'll take care of our family, how the kids will turn out. We have to worry about so many things in our daily life that many of us find we're carrying around this box of rocks. It's a heavy box of rocks, and it's weighing us down. Sometimes there's an especially heavy thing that weighs upon us as individuals, and it might be different for each one. For some of us, it's something we've done or someone's done to us in the past that just seems to linger on. We can't let go of it. We can't forgive ourselves, or maybe we can't forgive the other person. Sometimes those larger rocks look like our worries about the future, what we're going to do tomorrow, and what happens in the worst case scenario about our job or about our health. Sometimes these are about what people think of us or people might do to us. Sometimes a rock like this represents someone in our life that we really want to fix because we care about them, right? And we see that their present choices are going to lead them a lot of pain. And we really want to fix them. You see, we've got a lot of these rocks. And then someone comes along and says, oh yeah, did you hear about this virus? And we throw this coronavirus with all of its uncertainty about our health, but even more, how this is going to impact our society and our economic future, both as a country and as individuals. And for many of us, this rock just feels like a weight of uncertainty that we can't even begin to bear. What I'm suggesting here in this psalm is this. What I think David would want us to do, what he has learned to do, is he has learned to recognize that there is a God box here, and there are a lot of things that just go into his box that I don't have to concern myself with. Why? Because he is my father. He is my shepherd, and I can trust that I just need to do what I need to do today, concern myself with the things right before me and not the things beyond me, and then I will find rest in him. So I began taking all these rocks out. I have no idea how long this coronavirus is going to affect us and in what ways, but I don't have to. God knows, and God's heart is for me. There are a lot of other things in my life that are heavy, weighty, and one of the things I have to learn to do, and I'm learning with you, right? I don't have this all down, is I have to learn to take these from my box and put them in God's. I have to learn to say, God, these are things beyond me. These are things that I don't have control over, and therefore, if I don't have control over them, I don't really have to worry about them. I'm giving them to you. What does it tell us in Peter's epistles? Casting all of our care upon him, for he cares about you. And that's what we're doing. Now, does that mean that there's nothing in this box yet that I have to worry about? It means there's only one thing. And I represent it by this beautiful piece of stone, crafted and shaped, and given to me by someone I love. This stone represents simply one thing, drawing close to God. I am like a weaned child. I come to my mother or my father's lap, and I draw close to them and I rest. Isn't this what Jesus meant when he said in John chapter 14 and 15, as he talked about he is the vine and we are the branches, and all we have to do is stay connected with him, and the fruitfulness will come out of that. This doesn't mean I become passive. David wasn't passive. This doesn't mean I don't do anything. David did a lot of things. It means that my first priority, my one priority, is right here, in my box every day. I put this before me, that my chief responsibility is to draw near to God as best I can. And then out of that, I will find that he either takes care of the other things so I don't need to, or he gives me wisdom about what to do. In either case, I find that this is how I can have peace in the midst of a pandemic or all the uncertainties of life. I hope this helps you as much as it's helped me. God bless.